Okay, so with these assault marines, when you're in close combat with a walker, you have to go against their front armor, which is different than with a normal vehicle. If you assault a standard vehicle like this Chimera, you would hit the rear armor, not the front armor. But with a walker, you actually get locked in close combat, and you fight its front armor. Now, since its front armor is 12, and the strength is only 4 on these assault marines, the only way they could hurt my sentinels is with their crack grenades. Now, it's not easy to latch a grenade onto a walker in close combat, so they need a 6 to hit with it, and they only get 1 attack apiece. They only each are using 1 grenade at a time. So here's 4 dice, 1 for each of them, and no 6s, so they didn't latch any grenades on there. So the sentinels now get to fight back. They each have 1 attack and 1 for charging. Now, the weapon skill of a sentinel is 3. The weapon skill of an assault marine is 4. So you need a 4+. And I actually made 3 of them. And they're strength 5 against toughness of 4. So they need a 3+. And of course I rolled 3 2s. So nothing happens in that combat. And we're going to go on to turn 2 for the Space Marines. Okay, like I said, every turn I'm going to speed through this even faster. See if this thing repairs itself. On a 6 it does. We rolled another 1. And onto the moving. This land speeder here is going to try to come around the back of that Chimera. Now this turn it moved 12 inches, so it can only fire 1 of its weapons, but it's just basically trying to get into position. And these Space Marines here are going to roll for difficult terrain. 2 dice. They rolled a 4 as the highest number, so they can move 4 inches. Okay. Now the Space Marines know that the side armor of my Chimera is 10, and the front armor is 12. So their bolters being strength 4 can't hurt the front armor, but it can hurt the side armor. So they're trying to get up there into the side and possibly charge it. Alright, so on to the shooting phase. This one only has heavy bolters, and heavy bolters aren't strong enough to hurt the Chimera's front armor, and there's nothing else they can shoot at, so it just kind of sits there. The land speeder is going to be shooting through cover into the Chimera with 1 of its heavy bolters, since it moved 12 inches. So it's getting 3 shots for 1 heavy bolter, and I'm going to get a cover save if it makes any successful hits. So it hits with all 3 of them, ballistic skill 4. And these are strength 5 against my side armor of 10. So I got no glances or anything. Now these Space Marines, they could shoot at my guy, but they would need 6 to hit. So they're going to go ahead and wait for the assault, because if they fire their rapid fire weapons, then they can't make an assault move as well. So they're going to fire their pistol and their 1 assault weapon, which is the flamer. So here's the pistol shot. The pistol shot hits, and I need a 6 for it. And nothing there. Now the flamer shot from that guy into the side armor. It's strength 4, so I need a 6 and nothing. So we're just going to go ahead into the assault phase, and they're going to move through difficult terrain into assault into the Chimera. A 1 and a 6, so they can move 6 inches. And they're all just going to get over here against the side armor and against the front, because if you remember, against a vehicle in close combat, you go up against the rear armor. Alright, so now they could attack with their normal attacks, but they have crack grenades as well, which are strength 6, so they're going to go ahead and do 1 attack apiece and use those. So since there's 3 different results you could need for hitting a vehicle in close combat. If the vehicle didn't move the previous turn, if it was stationary, then you don't need to roll to hit. Everything's assumed to automatically hit the vehicle. If the vehicle moved, like this one did, then you need a 4+ to hit. If the vehicle moved its full distance, if this moved 12 inches, or if it was a skimmer, then you would need a 6 to hit it. So I'm going to get 5 attacks for these crack grenades, and they need a 4+. Alright, and I failed 2 of those. Now these are strength 6 rather, against my armor of 10. So they need a 4+. So I got 1 glance here. If you remember, a glance is -2 on the damage result table. A 4 minus a 2 is crew stunned, so I can't move or shoot with this vehicle next turn. Alright, so now into this assault with the Sentinels. I've got 4 grenades again with those Assault Marines. So they're going to try to get a 6 to hit. No 6s to hit. So the Sentinels now have 1 attack apiece. They both hit. And strength 5. So I need 3s here. And of course I roll 2s again. So nothing happened in either of these assaults for the most part. When you assault a vehicle, you don't get to consolidate. That's an important part to remember. So we're going to go ahead on a turn. Okay, so since this vehicle can't move or shoot, if the guys stay inside, they can't shoot either. So they're actually going to go ahead and disembark. So I'm going to open up this hatch here, and I'm going to deploy my guys. Okay, so all of their bases are within, or at least touching, or partially in the 2-inch mark from this back door. And one thing to remember when you're disembarking, this is my flamer guy here. I want to line him up with as many of those guys as possible, so I put him out front so I don't toast my own guys, and so that I can get as many space marines as possible. Now, since my vehicle didn't move when I disembarked, I can move my full 6 inches and still do any shooting or assaulting. So just remember this when you're... remember to look at the rules when you're looking to do things like disembarking and that, because it all changes based on how much you moved or didn't move or what kind of vehicle it is. In this particular case, I can move my full distance. So I get 2d6 to go through difficult terrain. I got a 4. So I can go ahead and move up to 4 inches. And I'm going to move this flamer guy to get in line with as many of these as possible. I just want to toast them all. So let's leave the flamer there, and 4 inches. And this turn, I'm looking kind of get into assault. So I want to get some guys basically right up next to the opponent. I could fire my rapid fire las guns and hope to do some damage, but more likely than not, charging is going to do more for me. It'll also stop them from shooting me and assaulting me in the next turn. Okay, so I moved all these guys as far as I want to move them. They didn't all move 4, but they're close enough. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead into the shooting phase. The only thing that I have on the table that can shoot are these veterans that just disembarked. So let's start off with this flamer. And it's kind of hard to see here, but this flamer touches 4 bases. So all 4 of those guys here are going to be hit. Flamer strength 4 against a toughness 4, so 4+. And I got 2 of those. So I'll go ahead and make 2 saves from the Space Marines. Right now, the Space Marines have a bunch of bolter guys left, so they're not really going to have to allocate wounds. They make both of their saves. Now I've got 2 melta-guns. One of them hits. One of them wounds. Now, melta-gun is strength 8 and armor piercing 1. So they don't get their normal armor save. Their armor save is only a 3. But they do get their 4+ cover save. So here's their 4+ cover. And they make that too. And then I've just got a las pistol. Because remember, you can shoot a pistol in assault. And he hits, and no wound. So I did nothing from shooting there. So I'm going to go ahead and declare an assault. And roll 2d6 to see how far I can move into the difficult terrain. 3 inches. Which, if you check here, is actually, it's enough to even get the furthest guy into combat. So I can just kind of move them forward. Okay, so everyone ends up being in combat here, and since I assaulted into cover, and the Space Marines have a higher initiative, the Space Marines are going first.